Old is gold. So, what is the role of pan-retinal photocoagulation in the management of NVG? PRP reduces NVI and NVA, and hence it assists in IOP control. So, studies have shown that PRP significantly delays the need for glaucoma drainage implantation. Before we understand the role of PRP, we need to understand the pathogenesis of neovascularization. Whenever there is retinal hypoxia, there is hypoxia-induced VEGF production along with autoregulatory dilatation causing growth factor production. Both these factors together cause neovascularization. When laser application is done, there is a physical interaction of the laser with the retinal tissue, where we have RPE absorbing the laser light. The light energy is converted to thermal energy, and thermal energy causes denaturation of the tissue protein, resulting in cell death and coagulative necrosis, forming the laser scar. So what is the mechanism of the laser scar? Retinal PRP causing laser scar causes photoreceptor destruction and decreased oxygen consumption by the reduced number of photoreceptors. Hence, the oxygen flux from the choroid to the inner retina increases, causing improved oxygenation of the inner retina. The improved oxygenation of the inner retina, of course, causes decreased VEGF production and resultant decrease in neovascularization. It simultaneously also causes autoregulatory constriction of retinal arterioles, decreased hydrostatic pressure in capillaries and venules, and constriction of retinal arterioles and venules. This reduces growth factor production and again causes decreased neovascularization. So there are multiple ways of doing laser PRP, and commonly we use slit lamp laser and indirect laser ophthalmoscopy. The lenses used for doing PRP laser are the Goldmann 3 mirror lens, the pan fundoscope, Mainster, and the Boke lenses in the slit lamp, and 20 diopter and 28 diopter lenses for ILO. The slit lamp lenses have certain similarities as well as dissimilarities. So the Goldmann lens is a mirror lens, while the other three lenses are non-mirror lenses. The Goldmann lens also has a very high resolution and magnification, while the others have lower resolution. The laser spot magnification on the pan fundoscope lens is 1.4 times, in the Mainster lens it is 1.5 times, and in the Boke quadrospheric and superquad lenses, it is 1.97 and 2 times respectively. Hence, the Goldmann mirror gives a narrower field while the others give a much wider field. The most important point to be kept in mind is that the image formed by the Goldmann mirror is a virtual and erect image, while with the other lenses is a real and inverted. And that is very crucial while doing the laser PRP. A clinician encounters certain specific hurdles while doing PRP in NVG, and these are a corneal microcystic edema due to raised intraocular pressure. Sometimes there may be presence of hyphema. Also, the level of patient discomfort in a patient of NVG is much more as compared to other proliferative conditions. So we need to tackle all of them separately. Corneal edema can be managed by aggressive IOP management, both by oral and topical therapy, or sometimes infusion of mannitol. In certain situations, topical application of glycerine over the edematous cornea has a hygroscopic action and gives us a clear cornea for us to at least do the laser PRP, and even though it is a temporary effect of the glycerine. When we come to patient preparation for PRP laser, the first and the most important aspect is informed consent. We need to inform the patient the severity of his disease, the requirement and benefits from PRP laser, and the side effects and complications which are possible with PRP laser. Once that is done, we then proceed with preparing the patient. Topical anesthetic drops are applied in both the eyes that helps to reduce photosensitivity and Bell's reflex. The patient is then stabilized on the slit lamp, the chin is placed, and the patient's head is stabilized with the help of a headband. Here we are preparing the lens. So we are using the, as you can see, we are using the Mainster PRP lens. This lens has a concave surface which sits on the anterior corneal surface. We need to use a coupling fluid on the surface which comes in contact with the cornea so that there is no entrapped air between the lens surface and the corneal surface. Here you can see that I'm instilling the coupling fluid. And then this lens is gently inserted along with the coupling fluid and placed on the anterior corneal surface of the patient. The slit lamp laser technique, which has been recommended, suggests 500 micron spot size, half to 1 spot size apart, 1200 to 1600 spots of moderate intensity divided into 2 sittings by the ETDRS study group. However, based on clinical situations, adequate modifications are made, and especially in case of LVG, where we need increased spot numbers and hence increased number of sittings. So PRP sitting in 3 divided sittings are like this. Here in the first sitting, we should be lasering the nasal retina and the inferonasal retina. In the second sitting, we do the rest of the inferior retina and the superior retina and mark out the temporal margin of the third sitting. And the third sitting, we complete the temporal retina and any peripheral retina possible. This is a short video of PRP laser being done on the slit lamp. You can see the accuracy with which the beam focuses. Here we are lasering the inferonasal part of the retina. It's an inverted image. This video was shot on the side view of the slit lamp with the help of a mobile camera. When it comes to PRP laser, there are certain tips and pearls which we should keep in mind. The power needs to be titrated based on the clarity of the media. We should aim for blanching with medium gray spots. The smaller spot size requires lesser power. The pen requires lesser energy. Pigmentation also requires lesser energy. The spots, when it comes to the spots, larger spots cause patient discomfort. Small duration spots are more comfortable. Round laser spots are more efficient. So on an average, 300 microns and 0.1 second duration appears to be the best setting. This photograph shows PRP laser, which has been done in the first sitting. Indirect laser ophthalmoscopy is also another brilliant method of doing PRP laser and gives better results in media haze, better visualization of greater area, better anterior retinal treatment. In case of a small pupil, 28 diopter lens can be used and is known to be a faster method in the hands of an experienced clinician. Here too, topical anesthesia is used since no precise spot size is available, so we should aim for 50% retinal coverage, 1 spot size apart. It's wise to mark out the posterior edge of the area to be treated and proceed anteriorly. Indirect laser requires the patient to be in the supine position. A few complications are choroidal effusion and macular edema, which are due to the inflammation of the laser treatment itself and can be avoided by dividing the treatment into multiple sittings. Visual field effects and night vision defects are unavoidable side effects, and patient needs to be counseled before the informed consent. So what is the final aim? The final aim is regression of neovascularization, which we can see in the images here, the first and the second image. So PRP laser, which started in 1950 and had a strong, beautiful evolutionary art, has withstood the test of time, and even today in the modern era remains the gold standard in the treatment of neovascularization. Thank you.